Whether you do just a little bit of gardening or quite a lot, it really makes sense to have some good quality equipment that you can use in your garden. It makes life a lot easier. And actually, when I go out to work in the garden, regardless of the type of work that I think I know I'm going to do, I have a 5-point checklist that I go through of equipment that I carry on my body to just make my gardening experience flow fast and easy. The first, and I think the most important, is actually a pair of safety glasses. I know of a case of somebody who reached into just a nice soft leafy shrub and actually scratched their cornea on the tip of one of those little pointed leaves. So the eyes are very delicate. The other piece of safety equipment is just a good pair of leather gloves. These will protect your hands, and you may even want to consider covering your arms as well if you're reaching into a lot of plant material. But I do always use these whenever I use my next piece of pruning equipment or equipment that I carry on my body, and that is a pruning saw, a folding saw. And I actually have two different ones here. There's a lot of different manufacturers, and what's nice about these saws is they fold up to go into your pocket. You can carry them all the time with you. Now we'll put these away for just a moment here to talk about my hand pruners. Now the thing is you don't want to skimp on the cost of equipment. Now the type of pruners that you get should be what are called bypass pruners. Those are ones where the blades come past each other in a scissor type motion. The thing is when you are making these cuts, you want to place the cuts well. So the hand pruners here now are great for branches up to maybe about a 1/2 inch in diameter, like this one here. What you do is you come down right to the base to remove it entirely. There's a little swell of tissue there, and then just cut through it. Now the thing is, if you ever find yourself making a cut where you actually have to really start cranking down on the hand pruners or use both hands to make the cut, that's when that cut shouldn't be made by the hand pruners, but rather by the pocket saw. And you notice I didn't say anything about loppers. The reason is because loppers are great for pruning wood to go into a trash can. I don't like to use them on the plant itself, because with a good pair of loppers, what you're doing is you're putting a lot of torque into that cutting motion, and again you can be damaging the wood that you're keeping behind, whereas a pocket saw is going to do a lot less damage to the tissue of the plant. This little tiny saw, it's only about 5 or 6 inches of blade, and yet you can do really quite significant cuts with that. Now in this case I have a dear old almond tree here, beautiful tree, and this one branch just isn't performing as well as it used to, so I'm going to go ahead and remove it. Now it's a pretty significant branch. There's some weight down on the end, and the thing I want to do is to do what's called the 3-cut method. What I'm going to do is take off most of the weight with my primary cuts. So I'm going to come in here on the underside of the branch and make an undercut. Now mind you, this is pretty hard wood. This branch, though it's small, is probably close to 20 years in age. Now what I did is I just cut about halfway through the branch from the underside. Now here's my underside cut. I'm going to come a little bit further out but on the top and make my top cut. And I think you'll see in a moment why this is beneficial. The thing you're doing, or I'm doing here, is I'm trying to remove most of the weight from the branch. If I were making my final cut, there's a good chance that this branch would rip and do damage to the branch to which it's attached. Oh, there it goes. Now what the undercut did, that last little piece of tissue, when it was starting to rip down here, that undercut prevented it from going any further. At the point of attachment of any branch is a swell of tissue called the branch collar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to approximate that position. I'm going to start my cut, come around on the other side here, and here I can see the collar very clearly. I'm just holding my saw there with one finger, and I can line my eye up with that saw blade so I can see where it's going to come through. It looks like it's pretty much perfectly targeted. So let me work my way through. The other thing here is that I'm rotating the saw a little bit as I make the cut. Let me make one more check here. Yeah, we're on target. By rotating the saw blade, I can bite less wood with each stroke. And you can see, and this is not a really new blade, you can see how that sawdust just flies right out of there as I make the cut. Now here at the end, I'm getting close. I'm going to support this branch with one hand, and I'm going to go softer with my saw so that I don't tear the wood. And there it is. So that's how you make a good cut. One other piece of equipment that I carry on my body is a digging trowel. Whether you get one like this or just a regular hand trowel, just carry that one in your pocket, have it on your body. And that way when you go out in the garden, you're protected, you're ready to prune small branches or large branches and do a bit of digging. Everything is there with you. And I keep the loppers nearby. When I'm ready to do some cleanup, chop the branches, put them into the trash can, take it out front, go inside and maybe have a cup of coffee.